back to coverage here at Dallas Fort Worth. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe with Paulo Vitor Damarosa and Rich Hagan in the booth. And we've got Chase Lakey facing off against Kieran Chetty on the other side of the battlefield.
Yeah, Karan. From South Africa.
Yeah, now Karan is kind of a perennial South African Magic player, right?
Yeah, he is the number one South African Magic player by a distance, constantly. I think every single year he's been the World Magic Cup captain for them.
I wonder how old Karan was when TBS invaded.
2001 Cape Town.
Yeah.
The Ben Sec won the GP there.
All right, looks like we're underway here, Paulo. Chase has kicked things off with a Mesa Unicorn, and he's getting in there. 2-2 with lifelink. Nice little start, though. Doesn't necessarily stand to last too long against the colors that we see from Kieran here. There's a lot of ways to kill a little 2-2 out of red and black.
Yeah, there are a lot of ways, but most of the time it just doesn't die. Because, I guess I'm proven wrong.
Yep. Shivan Fire's going to kill it here.
Yeah, the way this formula usually works is that not everyone has 2 or 3 or even a 4 drop all the time. So if you just play a 2 drop on turn 2, you're into play, it gets to attack for 6 or 8 damage before anything can be done.
Yeah, Karan decides to use Shivan Fire here to kill the Mesa Unicorn. Chase followed up with Sergeant at Arms, but Deathbloom Thallid is a nice follow-up here for Chetty as well.
Yeah, it is. I guess to stop the Sergeant, and then you get a token if they trade. It is one of my favorite cards in this format, the Deathbloom Thallid.
I like it a lot, too. It's very solid.
Yeah. You're just happy to have basically any number of them in any deck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just love all the 3, not just in this set, but all those 3/2s for 3 with some various form of upside. There's a whole suite of them now, and they're all just really solid, and yeah.
And you get to see the upside of it here, as there's now a Saproling on the battlefield after the creature's traded. Thallid Omnivore is a follow-up play for Chetty.
And here you see that the game has slowed down a little bit. Chase past turn 4 with no play. And this is usually what happens.
And it looks like we're going to see Eviscerate right away to take out the Omnivore. The Omnivore can be pretty annoying, especially if Chetty can get a bunch of Saprolings going. But mainly it just can be an attacker that's hard to block. And you can see we've got a bit of a sub-theme emerging here.
Yeah, that is the usual
Crown Thallid now.
Yeah, the usual green-black theme. Thallids, fungus, and Saprolings, and things like that. And it's a very good theme because all the cards are really good on their own. Like you look at the Spore Crown Thallid, it's just a 2-mana 2/2 is okay. Definitely it's a 3-mana 3/2 with an ability, a 4-mana 3/2 with an ability, and together they become much better. So that deck is really strong if you can pull it off. You can't always do that in Sealed, obviously, but it seems like Karan has managed to do that.
So far, Chase has just hit the bricks here. Eviscerate was that last play he made, and he just hasn't done anything. He's going to take 4 damage here if he doesn't have anything else, though perhaps a Gideon's Reproach or something similar. There it is. Reproach is going to take down Spore Crown Thallid and turn 4 damage into just 1.
Paolo, you're not going to try and protect your Spore Crown Thallid from a Gideon's Reproach, are you?
How about Torgar?
Oh, hello.
No, usually not. We're in a spot where, Chase could have it, but he could also just not have it, and then you're just missing a lot of damage. It's not that important for a creature to protect. You only have 1 Saprolin in play. So I think it's fine attacking with it. I'm usually very conservative, and I don't like to run into Gideon's Reproach, but we're in a point of the game where Chase can just keep 2 mana up for the rest of the game if he wants to, so you're not really constraining anything.
Yeah, so to get caught up here, Torgar came down, put Chase's life total to 10 from 18, so it did 8, but settled things up quite nicely there as Torgar has now been exiled. And once again, kind of strangely, we see a completely empty battlefield. Now here's Baird from Chase. Not bad, but only hits for 2 damage. So we're going to be playing this game for a while. And on our lead-in, Paulo, Rich asked you to kind of sum up the sealed format in a short sentence, and you went with about as short as possible. You just said slow. And we see that here. All of a sudden, the late game is what really matters in these games, where if either of these players has some type of big-time go-over-the-top type play to spend 6, 7, 8, 9 mana, they could easily pull way ahead and finish off the game. But as it stands, it's just Baird versus nothing right now.
Yeah, and that is, most of the time you play this format, there's a lot of removal that you can splash for, and then the board is just clear and a bomb wins the game, which...
Ooh, how about Kazaroff now from Chase. So I mentioned the bomb potential. Now, the downside here from Chase's perspective, well, besides the fact that Kazarov is now dead, thanks to Eviscerate, is that he didn't have access to any red mana at the moment anyway, though it is of note that Kazarov's ability will still trigger from combat as well. But resources have been traded. What I'd want to see from, if I was in either of these players' seats, is some form of card advantage to help propel me further and just get ahead. I mean, it's just simply a resource fight at this point. Jousting Lance does increase the clock here for Chase, and with nothing on board, he is threatening to crack in for 6 damage per turn, but that might not get the job done here if Kieran has something big. Well, Windgrace Acolyte, not a bad card, though. It doesn't seem to match up particularly well on this board.
No, it won't. And now Chase will get to gain some life with the Unicorn, attacking with First Strike. So it's not a great position for Karan, but he still has time.
He does still have some time, and he did get 3 life off of that as well. We see an Urgaros hit the graveyard there for Chetty.
Yeah, that is a card he would have loved to draw.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, it is gone. So we're going to see that Jousting Lance jump over to the Unicorn, as you predicted, and clear the way for an attack with both creatures. This is 6 damage coming in, and right now Chetty doesn't have any reasonable block. Going to have to just go down to 9. We'll see Lakey go back up, by the way. No racing happening here, as he's going to gain 4 and go back up to 14 life. Passes a turn back. Chetty really needs to find something huge here. He's got plenty of mana, all of his colors, and a board that is manageable, but he's got to find something to get out of this. Windgrace Acolyte attacking. Not going to block. You may as well attack. Okay, this helps. Baloth Gorger with Kicker is going to be a 7/7.
Yeah, and that is enough to stop the entire offense.
Yeah, interesting, right? Like, just even a card like that, it's just a common, right? This isn't a bomb. This isn't the type of card that you open up in your pool and you're like, we did it. Oh, did he not pay for the Windgrace Acolyte there? He's got enough mana to do both, just making sure. Okay. Remember, Bear does charge you a fee for an attack.
Yeah, usually not relevant when we have 8 lands in play, but in this case, pretty relevant.
It was. But he's actually got the full 9 mana to pay. And now he's going to be pretty happy he has that Windgrace Acolyte, though, as this one might come down to a bit of a race scenario. This is getting really interesting. All of a sudden, that Mesa Unicorn looks kind of good, right? You could see a scenario where Chetty could say, okay, fine, I'll either chump block or do something in the air for the Aven Sentry, but he can't actually win the race against that Unicorn if he starts attacking with the Gorger on the ground.
Yeah, he can't. If he attacks with the Gorger, he's just that in a turn.
Right. And of course, the Jousting Lance really playing a big role here, as it's going to allow the Sentry to attack through. Whoa!
What happened?
A Skin Witch just hit the battlefield. I have no idea. Oh, it hit the top of his library.
That's from the top of the library, isn't it?
Awkward. Yeah. Chetty had that Skin Witch on top of library, and when Chase went to equip, he accidentally just bumped it with his hand. So what they'll do, of course, is call a judge.
Judge is coming in.
Yep.
So, Marshall, are you a fan of Jar Jar Binks with links? That's obviously
Unicorn. I'm just going to...
with lifelink. See, it's Jar Jar Binks with links.
Why do I have to sit next to him?
Because we pay you.
Why couldn't...
That's generally
why
how
couldn't
people end
Paulo
up
have
sitting
been
next
over
to
here?
He wants to sit next to the legend.
That's true. It's basically, I'm the man, Paolo's the myth, and you're the legend.
This is first thing in the morning. Like, my defenses aren't up. Like, I'm not ready for this onslaught.
Incredibly, we actually get on fine off camera.
Yeah. Oh, I turn it up for the camera.
Yeah, I know.
No doubt about that.
I know. Karan Chetty, other people coming in the feature match area. Cynic Kim from South Korea, a multiple South Korean national champion back in the day. He's now studying here in Dallas. We'll also potentially get a chance on our time walk to see Tim Rivera, who has a Pro Tour top 8 to his name. I think that was in Modern back in 2013.
It was, yeah. I think that was the one that...
Remember
that
2014?
Sean
McLaren?
Yeah, I think that was that one. Just if memory serves. For those of you just tuning in, it's round 2. We're playing Seal Deck Dominaria here. What was the ruling there? They shuffled?
Yeah, I assume they shuffled and probably gave Chase a warning because now he has knowledge that there is a Skin Witch in his opponent's deck, but you're not going to do more than that.
I see.
And this is an interesting spot here.
Ooh, Dark Bargain. This is what I was hoping for a couple of turns ago. Let's see if it's enough time for Chetty to find an answer. He doesn't actually need that much to pull ahead. He's going to need to find a removal spell, probably for the Aven Sentry. Perhaps for the Unicorn.
Or even for the Jousting Lance.
That would be perfect, because that
Yeah.
is the thing that's stemming this putting those into actual creature territory here. So a lot of options, and you get to see 3 cards with Dark Bargain. You only get 2 of them, but boy, if you find something. Oh, he did. He found Wizard's Lightning. Geez, a lightning bolt hits a bird. And he also found Ancient Animus, Paulo. Looks pretty good with Baloth Gorger, and he may want to use it right now. Oh, perhaps a misstep here from Chetty. He has left the shields down now as a result of needing to pay for Baird and not having that and not having enough mana to cast Ancient Animus. It doesn't look like it'll punish him, but boy, if that Baloth Gorger gets killed, he could take a lot of damage in the interim.
Yeah, and not only does he take the damage this turn, he can also not use the Ancient Animals next turn because it would just kill the Imgrace Acolyte.
That's right.
So,
And, of note here, Paulo, I know it's the kind of thing that you'd be seeing and I think about as well, is that Chase was tapped out. That was a time to cleanly resolve an Ancient Animus. And, if you decided that one of these creatures was a creature that you just couldn't have on the battlefield, you would want to do that even though it's an instant on your turn.
Paolo, the Skittering Surveyor there went and found just another of one of the 2 colours. Do you like Skittering Surveyor in a deck that's just 2 colour and isn't searching up a splash?
I do.
Love.
Okay.
There's so many reasons to play it. I think, if you have Historic, so Artifact matters. If you have Equipment, you get to equip it and it acts as a body. If you have any Sacrifice effects, like Vicious Offering. If you have a splash color. So there's so many reasons to play it, and you only really need 1 to play it. So if I had a deck with 0, then I wouldn't play it, but we already see an equipment, that's already enough for me.
It also beautifully blocks a Saproling.
Oh, it just gobbles them up.
Yeah, it does do that. Sometimes it stops 3 or 4 Saprolings.
So this one's gotten properly close here. 7-8 here in game number 1. Make that 5. Chase is going to drop down to 5 after the attack. And boy, looks like Karan has something great. Oh, geez. Untamed Kavu with Kicker is going to add another huge creature to his battlefield. This one's a 5/5 with Vigilance and Trample. And his last card in hand is that Ancient Animus. So things looking very good for Chetty.
Yeah, Chase needs to draw something very powerful there, and I don't know if that exists in his deck.
Yeah, this is going to be a very tough position. Does he have an Urza's Ruinous Blast? Because that would be about the card he'd want here.
I don't think he does. Oh, well, he actually has it in his pool, but it's not in his deck.
Okay. That happens a lot with the legendary sorceries. Urza's Ruinous Blast has not been super impressive to me, even if you can cast it, although in this particular spot it would be really good.
Yeah, he only has 2 legends in his deck, so that's really not enough to support them.
No.
It is unfortunate how sometimes you get your legendary sorcerers in one color, and then your legendaries in another color. You're like, well, I can only choose to play one of those.
That's right. Yeah, some of those are just outright game winners.
Yeah, so Chase has 2 Skittering Surveyors, and he has that Khazarov, the Sengir Pureblood.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be reasonable to splash for a mountain in a spot like this just to use the activated ability, but he chose not to do that.
Yeah, Khazarov, with that 3 and a red activated ability you see at the bottom of the card there, can really take over a board very quickly.
Yeah, and he also has a Shivan Fire that he's not playing. So in his spot, I think I would just throw a mountain in there and play that Shivan Fire. I really like splashing in this format if I can. And 2 Skittering Surveyors is about as good mana fixing as you're going to get.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And you see that Chetty has had no such... he has no problem splashing. He's just pretty cleanly in 3 colors here. Perhaps overdoing it. What does his mana base look like, Paulo?
Well, he only has 3 mountains.
Oh,
he has
so
7 swamps, 7 forests,
Okay, so he's just drawn all 3 of the mountains.
Yeah, and he has 3 red cards. There's Shivan Fire, Wizard's Lightning, and Garna the Blood Flame.
Okay.
So that's his only red.
And we've seen 2 of those 3. Things looking very good for Chetty at this point. He now has Blood Tallow Candle on the battlefield. He's going to use that to kill the Windgrace Acolyte with the Jousting Lance on it. And things looking very good for him with the backup removal spell in hand. And just a superior board. I mean, look at his ground game. It's got a 7/7 and a 5/5. Still has clean attacks in the air as well. Looks like he's choosing not to attack on the ground. Just with the Windgrace Acolyte, it's a 2-turn clock.
Yeah, Chase can attack and just throw the Unicorn out there to gain 4 life, but...
Ooh, Soul Salvage from Chetty. I mentioned it, I don't know, 5 or 6 turns ago about finding some way to get some card advantage going, and it's Chetty who's done it. He's found Soul Salvage and Dark Bargain, and he's really used those to take over this late part of the game.
Yeah, Soul Salvage is just extremely powerful in situations like this. You know, everyone's traded removal spells, and there are a lot of creatures in the graveyard.
Totally. He's going to go for the Thallid Omnivore here.
Yeah, he doesn't have enough black mana to cast a Spectre again, which, is the downside of playing a bunch of colors.
And Chase Lakey just shows 3 lands in hand. He did not have those card draw spells late, and that is Karan Chetty taking game number 1.
So look, there's a real problem here for Chase Lakey, because his deck, essentially the story of his deck was, I can guarantee that the game is going to go long because I'm going to gain a huge amount of life. He has lots of life gain sitting there. And on the other side of the table, Karan Chetty has a deck that says, as long as the game goes really long, I'm going to win. So that appears to be a straight line to a 2-0 for Karan Chetty, and we've seen way more than half of each deck in this game. It was longer, although they've only taken just over 15 minutes. In terms of the number of cards seen, we're well past halfway, and they got through about 26, 27 cards for Lakey. So if you're in Lakey's seat, Paolo, and you've watched that game play out where, I don't know exactly how many life he gained, but it was a lot. It was not insignificant. How do you start factoring in how to beat a deck that is going to just not care how much life you gain? As we say, look how long it took me to kill him. Well, I eventually just got there.
Well, I think if we're in the spot, we have a problem, because that is something that he had to have thought of before he built his deck. Because I believe most decks in this format will be similar to Karan. So if he has to do something to combat this type of deck, that he had to have that strategy before. But obviously, sometimes you don't have anything to do. It's still deck. You open what you open. So you have 2 approaches. The first one is you try to put all your power cards in there. So, just cards that you normally wouldn't play but are good in the late game. A 6-mana 5/5 generic card. Put all of those in there. Put a splash that you normally wouldn't play. The second approach is go super low to the ground. So you cannot play this middle game. Like if someone has a lot more card advantage and a lot more power than you do. You have to either be super fast, so you kill them before they play their best cards, or you have to mash them and be super slow.
The thing is, he had the opportunity, you talked about it in-game, to maybe splash the red for Kazarov, which is exactly the kind of card that says, the game has gone late, but I think I can, using my red mana, I think I've got a way here to turn the game my way. But he hasn't gone that route. Maybe he does after boarding. Who knows? Maybe he says, okay, I need to be, if the game's going to go long, I have to find a way to get that late thing happening. Meanwhile, Karan, on the other side, 3 times South African national team, was in Bologna last week. And as he says, well, the thing is, if you come from South Africa to get to Magic events, you have to travel a long way, so you might as well travel all the way and just go everywhere. So we see him on both sides of the Atlantic. And Chase, Marshall, so many players come back to the game for different reasons, and you never quite know what it is, whether it's a new set or just your life takes a turn that means you've got time for it again. Chase Lakey's reason for coming back, the new scry rule brought me back.
Really? I can appreciate that. That's
like,
great.
I'm going to guess he's a bit of a spike.
Yeah, that does sound like it. That is funny.
Oh, so I improved my mulligan ratios. I'm in. Welcome back to Magic.
I love it.
Yeah. So 1-0 to Karan Chetty here, and Cynic Kim coming up from South Korea, 5 times on their national team. And moved to Dallas to study English 5 months ago.
Nice. I got to tell you, by the way, this matchup does not look good for Chase.
Yeah, I'm looking at the decks.
Yeah, it's kind of what you just described, Paulo, being in the middle ground. He is very much that, and his late game is suffers. He just doesn't really have that much. He's got some powerful spells. I think the cards that he's playing are all fine cards. He's got a decent mix of removal and creatures, but inevitability-wise, he is lacking in a major way. And he has really no way to propel himself into the late part of the game. The fact that he ended the game with 3 lands in his hand doesn't really surprise me, to be honest. He just runs out of stuff to do when we get to that late part of the game.
Nice to see a DeMarcus Ware shirt, by the way. Obviously, you knew 94 Dallas Cowboys. DeMarcus Ware.
Yeah.
You knew that, right?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know any of what you just said. But yeah, I'm looking at the list, and it doesn't look like Chase has a lot of options. Unfortunately,
No.
he's just playing the cards he's got. It's not like he has any super expensive, powerful cards in his sideboard. He just doesn't have any. The one thing that he could do is bring in Aether Glider, which is the 3-mana 2/1 flyer can't block. That is normally a very good card against those Black Ring Sapperling decks because they gum the ground, but they don't have a lot of flyers. And if you have to be aggressive, which is what I believe he has to be, then having the additional flyer could be good. So it wouldn't surprise me if Chase boarded that card in.
Yeah, that does seem like the type of card that could help close out in the mid part of the game. This Jousting Lance, by the way, was quite important for Chase as well. And this is one of the ways that he can generate an advantage over the course of the long term with his smaller to mid-sized creatures. So he'll be happy to see that in his opener. He's got Sergeant at Arms. He can get that thing equipped and start bashing next turn, though. It's a bit of a slow start for Chase, as every turn that goes by, he has to feel like he's falling a little bit further and a little bit further behind Karan. Blood Tallow Candle for Chetty here. Doesn't really do anything at this point in the game. Just kind of gets it out of his hand.
Yeah, sometimes you save it for historic triggers. You know, you don't want to just play it on turn 1. But that is usually in white. If you're Jund, which he is, there are not that many things to use the trigger for, so you just play when you have a spare mana.
It's a reasonable curve here for Chase. He went 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop, though the 2 was a Jousting Lance, but still, Baird's now on the battlefield. And this is a reasonable curve out. This is kind of what his deck's supposed to do, but here's Karan Chetty. And he's got Baloth Gorger now. That could be a brick wall, forcing Chase to get some equips going if he wants to get in for any damage.
Yeah, he could just also settle the Score Dad.
Yeah,
which
totally.
I think he has in his hand.
It would open up an attack for 4 damage.
So, Marshall, what do you like more, settle the score or eviscerate?
I like Eviscerate more. I've had this pick actually in Booster Draft, which we'll be talking about more tomorrow, of course, multiple times. And while I do value exiling, and it does matter in the format, I just find splashability and castability to be of a higher premium. If I'm in black, I suppose I'd rather just have settle the score. Just does more. Never have a Planeswalker, of course. Like, that's just the...
Yeah, why would you?
I think they could move that text down to the flavor text.
Yeah, you and Louise sort of talk about that as a constructed line of text,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a decent chance that if I had a Planeswalker and cast settle the score, I may not...
You just forget to put into Alarity counters.
Which would be a real
What a
travesty
wasted
of value.
opportunity.
Yeah. No, I'd be... I'm sure somebody would point it out. I'd be very sad.
You know, I don't think you can forget.
Is that right? My opponent would have to remind me?
I think they do because
that.
it's just part of the spell. You don't have to target anything.
So I was actually maximizing value by forcing my opponent to remind me.
Yes, it will really frustrate them.
Yeah.
And then if they don't remind you, remind them that they have to remind you.
I don't think I'd go that far.
I see, I would.
And there's Eviscerate now to take down Bear to clear their way for an attack for just 2 damage. But as you can see, that settled the score. Did take down the Baloth Gorger.
Yeah,
But again, Chase is just trying to fight this battle of being the early to mid-game deck, but I don't see how he actually gets the door closed before Karan can start deploying the big stuff.
Well, Karan is sort of stuck on mana, so that is, an avenue you could win if you're Chase. Also, just equip it in a Jousting Lance and hope it's enough. It does turn any creature into a threat.
It's true. He's prioritized building out his board. Instead, though, attacks for 2 with the Sergeant at Arms. Yeah, he's got a Thallid Omnivore of his own. Doesn't look super great here, though.
it is much more impressive when you're playing Grin with it.
Yeah.
Like you that much.
Yes.
Though it does work with Sergeant of Arms.
It
There are
does.
2 in Chase's deck.
Okay. Oh, Slimefoot the Stowaway. That's my boy right there.
Oh, it is?
Oh, I like that one, yeah. Again, this shows the difference in approach to both of these decks. Slimefoot is a very slow, kind of grindy card, mana intensive that generates you an advantage slowly over the course of the late game.
Slimefoot the slower way. Basically.
No.
Huh? Not buying that one?
No. I'm not buying what you're selling, Rich.
You don't want to spend 4 on a Saprolong?
And Chase, this is how you do this, Paulo. And Chase on the other side just doesn't have those type of effects.
Yeah, and it's important to note that the Slimefoot is a 3-4, and we'll just be making out 2/2s. So you will get to close the game pretty quickly.
All right. Thallid Omnivore picks up a Jousting Lance. That's a scary thought. Yeah, Karan really just wanting to find some lands here, propel himself into that later part of the game. But this is a potent combo that Chetty has put out. He can pay 4 mana to make a 2/2 now. And those add up very, very quickly, though he has fallen pretty significantly behind. And he may just be in, if he doesn't have anything else to do, make a 2/2 and just chump block with it. But then, of course, he gets a drain out of the deal as well.
Yeah, he is forced to chump block next turn. But assuming Chase does not add to his board at all, then the 1 life that he gains will allow him to not chump block the following turn.
I see. Oh, there's a good blocker. Deathbloom Thallid for Chetty. Still no land drop from him. But the good news for Chetty is that the attacks are still kind of coming down on the ground where he has the ability to gum things up going forward, at least on some level.
Yeah, and Karan could have attacked there with his 3-4. He chose not to, probably because of Gideon's Reproach. Doesn't want to expose his token maker, which I can definitely respect.
All right, Stronghold Confessor now from Chase. That is with Kicker, so it's going to be a 3/3 with Menace. And that could throw a wrench in the works, assuming that he's able to keep pressure on Chetty and keep him chump blocking. And he does need to chump block here. So he's going to put Deathbloom Thallid in front. That's going to get him a Saproling. Slimefoot will not trigger for a Fungus Dyne, but a Saproling it will. See if Karan can find himself a land. No, he can't. He found a
Another.
Shivan Fire, but he does have another Deathbloom Thallid to play. Sure. Even just playing these is actually keeping him right in this game.
Yeah, I mean, each is effectively a double chump block.
Yeah.
And you never get to kill the Omnivore in combat. That is just not going to happen because it can grow enormously and he has First Strike. But if you stall until you get 6 lands to use the Candle and you also have the Shivan Fire, then you can actually deal with it. And he's managing to stall just fine.
Yeah. I mean, he right now he's able to go, like, as long as Chase doesn't come up with some type of other threat, he's looking quite good on the blocks. It's precarious, though. Chase could have a removal spell or a combat trick here and really put a wrench in the works for Karan.
Yeah, Chase is considering it. Oh, wow.
Look at this. Getting very aggressive here.
But you have to. I mean, the whole story of this match is how the longer the game goes, the more certain it is that Karan's going to win.
That is true.
Get in there.
So
This is a risky attack.
if he does have Gideon's Reproach, it's pretty interesting. He's just effectively forcing the Slimefoot to block here. So it will have to get involved in combat.
That's right. Now, if he doesn't have anything, though, Karan actually ends up pretty well out of this attack.
Is he just dead?
Wait. He just has to sack anything?
I assume so. Even if there is fungo,
Yeah,
he can
it's
just sack
too
the
late.
other one.
Yeah. Wow, I think that Karan might have just messed up this block. That's lethal. He says, okay,
Oh, dear.
would you like to take first strike damage? Wow, yeah, I think Karan Chetty actually made a mistake there. He didn't want to block with his
Spore Crown
Thallid, and
Yeah.
boy, did it cost him.
Yeah, death before dishonor is what we call that.
Well, he got death. He must not have seen that correctly. He must not have realized it was lethal because there's nothing he can represent in the format for one black that actually changes the outcome there.
Yeah, maybe he thought it could only sack Saprolings. That could be what happened.
That could definitely be it.
But certainly he didn't think he was just going to die. I assume that wasn't the case.
That wasn't what he was thinking.
Yeah.
So, Paolo, obviously you've been writing about the game and talking about the game for a long time. And it's sometimes hard to find new things to say because although there are new cards and new decks, underneath it all, it's like, is this a Premier deck? Yes. How are you going to sideboard against the key matchups? It's the same fundamental story updated for new things. So whenever I see someone write something unusual, I'm always interested because I'm thinking, I'm going to learn something, not just another lesson, but a brand new lesson. And you wrote an article a while ago that I thought was absolutely fantastic about not just the idea of mistakes, but when players are not willing to recognize the mistake that's been made and then compound it. Like, for example, getting syncopated out by exactly one land, and you have a land in hand,
the land
which
of shame.
you then the land of shame, which you then don't play because you don't want to seem stupid that you had the land but didn't play it. Whereas there may be perfectly good strategic reasons to play that land. And I just wondered if, for people who haven't read that, and you should go and check it out because it's a big and complex topic, but if you could just talk a little bit about that idea of understanding that you've done something wrong, but don't follow it up just because you're feeling defensive or dumb.
Yeah, well, the main point of the story is that you should worry more about winning the game than about how you're perceived. Like, if you play the land, your opponent's going to laugh at you. People watching are going to laugh at you, but who cares? You still have to try to win. And I know there are people, I think it was BDM who basically said, I'm taking this land to the grave with me. Like, no one is ever going to see that land. And, there are reasons for that, but if
you got to respect that.
Yeah, if your goal is to win the tournament, then you have to play that land.
Looks like fungal plots there for Karan Chetty. Not going to do a great job of blocking. It's more late game inevitability for him, but Chase with his patented start here, 2-drop into 3-drop. This time it's a Mesa Unicorn and a Skitterine Surveyor.
Yeah, the Surveyor again getting a plane, so we know that there's no red in Chase's deck. Or there's a double white card, but I'm going to guess no red.
Agree, yeah. He would have had to boarded it in. But the turn 3 play for Chetty is a nice one. It's Slimefoot.
Yeah, and now we get to see how conservative Karan is with that Slimefoot.
I feel like he needs to just... I don't know the rest of his hand. I see a few lands in there. All right, well, it looks like Chase isn't going to bluff him at all here. He's just going to say, okay, I'm going to play Baird and pass the turn back.
How's your Scottish accent, Marshall?
Terrible.
Marie and I agreed that Baird Stewart of Argive could only be announced in Scottish accent. So can you...
I wasn't told this before.
Okay.
I brought a smart sweater, but...
good. Yeah. Okay. We'll talk about that.
Okay. By the way, I agree. Like, looking at him there?
Yeah.
He looks like Braveheart's uncle.
Yeah, good line.
Uncle Argyle. Here's 5 mana.
That's Argyle, not Argive.
No, yeah, right.
It's an Argive sweater.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Chase, though, again, the curve looking pretty decent here. 2, 3, 4, 5, Paulo. This is the kind of curve you want in booster draft. Is it enough, though?
Yeah, at the same time, the 2, the 3, and the 4 just stayed back. So
yes.
It isn't really that strong of a curve.
Agreed.
When you consider the A3 drop stop all of those cards.
Yeah, and it's not like the 5 drop is exactly a 5/5 flying with Vigilance and Trample.
Yeah,
that's right.
It is definitely not a Lyra.
And by the way, here's a nice combo, although it did brick here for Karan, but he's got Windgrace Acolyte of his own, which A, can block the other one, but B, it puts cards in the graveyard for fungal plots. Yeah. Downside is he missed this time. It was 2 lands and an Eviscerate.
Someone else would have just put itself in the graveyard, I'm guessing, for a fungal plot.
Mm-hmm. Snap it off.
Yeah, this is the fastest block of my life.
Yep, and there's a Gideon's Reproach from Chase Lakey. So Karan gets to put a card put his Windgrace Acolyte into the graveyard. And as you can see, he can turn that into a Saproling and then start ooh. This is one of my favorite cards in the sealed format. Oh my God, Sergeant-at-Arms and Eviscerate from the Caligo Skin Witch.
Ow.
That is nasty, and that's why I love that card. I feel like every time I cast it, that's exactly what happens. I just get 2 great spells.
Yeah, that card is much better than I originally thought it was going to be.
Agree, yeah. I had it a little lower than I have it now for Sealed, though it does change a little in Booster Draft. But in Sealed, I play as many of those as I can get my hands on.
Yeah, just the 2 modes. If you're being attacked, you can just play it as a 2-mana 1/3. It's even a wizard.
Yes.
If you have synergies.
Yep.
And then everyone has cards in their hand in the late game, and everyone plays all their lands because of Kicker.
Yep.
So you always get spells.
Yeah, the first 9 times I got targeted by that on release weekend, 17 for 18 on spells.
Yeah?
On turn 6
you
or before.
serious?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
God.
I mean, I had to run out my, I'm
Of course.
playing things with Kicker.
course.
I'm on turn 5. I'm going to play my 5th land, and then off we go.
Yeah.
Yep, they're my last 2 spells. Thanks. Enjoyed that. It was great.
Yeah, this is not looking good here for Chase. Even with that nice curve out, Karan now has Blood Tallow Candle at the ready, so whatever the next big thing is. Looks like it's right of Belzenlock.
Oh, and that big thing doesn't get killed by the candle.
No, it does not. Chase has been doing a good job of staying on the front foot, and he could get a big 6/6 demon here, and that actually does really good work.
It's more right of bells and unlock, isn't it? Because you wait 2 turns, and then, ta-da, here's my 6/6.
He's talking to you, Paulo.
I don't think he is. He's looking straight at you.
I know he is.
Wouldn't you say, Marshall? That's a little broadcast trick we do.
Brutal. The full handoff.
It is weird that the right of Belzenlock summons a Belzenlock that is different from the Belzenlock that you
That
just
is
cast.
weird. That is
But-
true. Also very similar Belzenlock,
Yeah.
but not quite.
Not legendary, though. I always think when I'm counting my legendaries for legendary spells, I have to stop myself from counting the Belzenlock.
I never thought of that. That is kind of strange. By the way, Karan is now in, I wouldn't call it desperation mode, but urgency mode. He's starting to cash in Sapperlings for cards, thanks to fungal plots. And that's going to help pad his life total as well. But he's going to need to find an answer for that demon when it does pop up. There's draw step. Now 2 more clerics are going to hit the battlefield. And Chase has plenty of fodder for the demon, so he's not going to lose to it. And it's going to be a major threat
Yeah, I
in the
think
air.
we've now turned this game into a mini game of can Karan kill the demon, and if he can, I don't see how he's going to lose because his board is just overwhelmingly better outside of the demon. But if he cannot, he's just going to be dead in 2 turns. So, well, it will take more than 2 turns because he's going to gain a bunch of life, sacking Sapperlings, but that is what the game is about at this point, trying to kill that demon.
But he can now gain 2 life and draw 1 card per turn just by tapping out all of his mana to make 2 Sapperlings with Slimefoot and then sacking the 2 Sapperlings to fungal plots. It's slow, but he can get through his library and he does have another turn.
Yeah, he can actually. Yeah, he actually gains 4 life because he's draining.
That's right.
So
Maybe he could just win.
yeah, it's possible he could win even through the demon.
Yeah.
Yeah, people in chat asking about Blood Tallow Candle sitting in play there at the top of the screen. Can that kill the demon? Well, not quite.
Close, close, close.
Now, Fungal Infestation plus a Blood Tallow Candle.
Yeah, fungal infection, or he could get he's splashing 1 or 2 copies of Shivan Fire. We see 1 in the graveyard already, but yeah, it's true though. He could combine that with something else.
Yeah, he has Wizard's Lighting. Has 1 Eviscerate. He also has a Helm of the Host that we haven't seen yet,
Oh, whoa.
which should just be game over if he ever draws it.
Definitely. Yeah, that's one of the more powerful spells. It is very mana intensive. It's 9 mana to get it equipped. But boy, if you get to put it on almost anything. There's a Jousting Lance now for Chase. That doesn't look great here, though.
Yeah, it's not really going to solve the problem of I lose if my opponent kills the demon.
Yeah,
So
but he might force Karan to use that Blood Tallow Candle on, say, the Windgrace Acolyte or something like that. Just basically eat up some time. No, he's actually going to go for a ground attack to help pad his life total as well with the Mesa Unicorn.
Well, that's just going to get blocked by a Sapperling that would be sacrificed anyway.
Right,
So
and it also means that the Mesa Unicorn will not give him any lifelink. So not really doing much.
Just unshortcut that for us, Marshall. When you say it won't get the life,
Yeah,
why not?
If the creature's not there anymore when damage is to be dealt, then no damage is dealt, and lifelink only gains you life when damage is actually dealt. So Karan is able to prevent that. Now, I don't think he's super worried about Chase's life total, but still, it's a nice little bonus. And has he found an answer for the demon? Now, the demon doesn't have haste. Rite of Belzenlok is not a particularly quick magic card, but it has produced a 6/6 flying trampling demon, and Karan does have to find a way to deal with it at some point here.
I think he's already found one. I think he has Ancient Animals in his hand,
Okay.
and also Torgar.
He does have
So-
Torgar for sure
So
in hand.
if you play the animals, that becomes an 8/7 creature that then fights the 6/6. So I think he has an answer already. I mean, here's interesting. Karan used the Dark Bargain instead of making a Saproling, which, is, in my mind, a bit greedy because you already have so much.
Right.
And all you need is time to play all your cards. And especially since you have Torgar, you want stuff to sacrifice. You just don't want to be overrun. So I would lean towards making a Saproling there and just never casting that Dark Bargain, probably.
Yeah.
But
Funny, not great news here for Chase Lakey. Karan looks at the 3 cards, decides which one to put in the graveyard, and puts Garna the Bloodflame in the graveyard. He has his mountain, too, so a castable Garna, he said, nah, don't need it.
yeah,
And I think that Chase probably is going to start seeing the writing on the wall here. This is going to be Torgar.
and Garden the Bloodflame is a great combo with Dark Bargain. If you can cast both in the same turn, you actually get the creature you put in the graveyard back to your hand.
That's right.
It works from anywhere.
That's right.
If they ever mill you, they get so punished.
Yes. And there are multiple ways to mill the opponent, kind of incidentally in this set as well. It looks like it's going to be Urgaros. Yeah. That is a sick combo. And Karan actually has the 9 mana too, but I guess just decided I don't need it. Just want to get rid of the...
Yeah, again, he's not really constrained on cards at this point. He doesn't need to do anything fancy. Like, if we just assume that this game goes long for 5 more turns, he's just going to win. So he doesn't need anything else. He just needs to survive.
So what's happening here, though? Because he went Urgaros, then Ancient Animus to take out the Windgrace Acolyte on the other side. Oh, he's got to sack something. There we go. Yeah, Cleric down. But he has actually not dealt with the demon as of yet, though. Karan's still at 17 life.
Yeah, my guess Kern is just going to try to race and use that Torgar to keep the scales. He does have a lot of life gain in play. He can gain 4 life a turn, and he gets to attack for 5 and drain for 2 more. So he has a 7 damage a turn. It's a 3-turn clock, while gaining 4 a turn is not bad.
He also has the Blood Tallow Candle that he can use in conjunction with the Urgaros at some point if Chase wants to enter that fray.
Yeah.
So Karan Shetty with options, still looking to be in good position here.
Yeah, but now that Mesa Unicorn gets to attack and actually gets to lifelink through, because there are no blockers in Karan's board.
Guess he could just throw the Skin Witch away if he wants.
Yeah, he'll probably have to do that.
No, it looks like Chase is actually going to equip up to the Demon. Well, we're now up to 8 power with First Strike and Trample. Of course, flying as well, so hit ya down to 9. This is the hit that Karan knew he could take, but it does mean that his the wiggle room he has is kind of diminished a bit, so he's going to need things to go well. Unicorn's going to pick up the Jousting Lance, and that's all Chase did is just move the Lance twice for his turn, leaving him with just 1 white mana available.
Yeah, if we just compare Chase's turns to Karan's turns, it's easy to see who's...
It is vastly preferable to be in Karan Chetty's seat at this point.
Yeah, here he'll just get to attack and, discard a card from Chase's hand if he chooses to do that.
Yeah, he also can, of course, put Chase down to 10 with Torgar pre-combat and make this a 2-turn clock.
I think he has Wizard's Lightning in hand, so that could also speed up the clock.
Well, it looks like he's actually just going to attack. Maybe he's got something else to do with the mana, just wants to get that last card out of hand from Chase. I guess he could use Torgar to gain a life.
Yeah, that sounds suboptimal.
Agree.
But the problem is that he's taking damage in big chunks. So what is he supposed to do? He can't just...
All right, so he's going to go for upkeep, let you sack a thing, and then use 2 removal spells to take out the demon. Look, that's never where you want to be. But that was the problem, right? That was the thing that he needed to solve, and he solved it, and now it looks like he can't lose.
Yeah, he won the minigame.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Good play by him as well to say you can go to your upkeep, you lose one of these creatures, or else you take 6. And of course, it's not a choice. So one creature's going away. But then before draw step, I'm going to use these removal spells to make sure that you don't draw something to protect your creature. Skin Witch is going to jump in front of the Unicorn because Chetty now has the machine rolling here. He doesn't even need any cards in his hand at this point. He can just use his Slimefoot the Stowaway in conjunction with Fungal Plots to gain life, draw cards, drain out his opponent, keep hitting land drops. And another Swamp is what's going to get pitched here to Urgaros. But this one looks like it's just about in the books.
Yeah, he could have played Torgard now to put his opponent to 10.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to want to. He's just not into that play. It looked like he was thinking about maybe doing it and thought, nah, I guess I'll just put out a Baloth Gorger. Either way,
Well,
he's putting
like
out a 7/6 or a 7/7.
Yeah, it's like what we talked about
I know.
before, right?
It's the
I
Torgar of
already
shame.
attacked.
Yeah.
I'm taking that card to the grave.
Yeah.
Just a high different coverage.
We see it, Karan. We know all. There's another Mesa Unicorn, but this kind of shows the difference between the style of decks that these players have. We looked at Chase Lakey's pool. He didn't really have, it's not like he could have built a deck like what Karan has going on. I'm sure he'd be much happier with that type of build, but you can see the downside of the deck that Chase has here. He's drawing mediocre 2-drops here on turn 19 or whatever, where Karan has inevitability engines where he can just dump 8 or 12 mana in. He's got 7 7s and 7 6s that he's going to be casting. And these are the type of cards that Chase simply doesn't have access to.
Yeah, and the bad news for Chase is that Karan's deck is solid, but it's not spectacular. It's not out of this world. So we should expect most of Chase's opponents in the future rounds to have decks of similar power level and similar styles.
Yeah.
So it's going to
day.
be really tough for Chase.
Yeah. And it's tough. I mean, you open up your pool and you certainly hope to get one, well, kind of like what Karan has going on, but sometimes it doesn't give it to you.
Yeah.
And you just do the best you can, but his deck is not well suited for the format. There's Spore Crown Thallid now for Chetty, so that's going to bump up the power and toughness. He can still make 2 Saprolings with Slimefoot even after this.
Yeah, and we know Chase has a Norse's Ruinous Blast in his sideboard. He might have boarded it in, he might draw it, but even then, it might just not be enough because there are 2 legendary creatures in Karan's side killing Chase.
And that's the problem that I have with Urza's Ruinous Blast, and why I mentioned earlier that I haven't been that happy with it even in general, is that it tends to leave your opponent's best creatures behind. And there's a lot of times when you just simply can't cast it, and that is a tough sell.
Yeah, it really depends on your deck, I found. I had a deck at the Team GP that had a lot of legends, including, 2 Shalai. It was really good there.
And that's going to do it. Karan Chetty defeats Chase Lakey 2-1. And, the meat grinder was in effect there.
The meat grinder?
Yeah.
Is that the slime or just a combination? What's the meat grinder?
I just made it up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you put your opponents in and just
churn them out a little bit at a time. So, slow, man said. He was right. And when we come back, we will probably do some very fast time walk action. I think we're going to be using that fast forward button a lot this weekend, my friends.
Definitely.
So don't go anywhere, and we'll be back with more action from round number 2 after this. Hello everyone, welcome back. As Scalding Hot Soup has just said in chat, this is a legitimately exciting sealed format. And I agree, it's great fun. And we're going to show you some more of it now. We're going to head down back to the start of the round and show you how things kicked off for Cynic Kim of South Korea. I wonder if he's going to change his name to Optimist Kim in light of recent events. Who knows? But here we go with Time Warp game number 1. Krumholtz on the left, Kim on the right. Here with the call, Marshall Sutcliffe and Paula Vida Rosa.
Thank you, Rich. We're into game number 1 here in Time Walk, and we've got, so far, red-white, not a combo that you see super often here in Sealed, but we'll see what Cynic comes up with. May not be the whole picture there. On the other side, color pair that you actually do see a lot, which is black and white. Black and white has a really nice combination of removal spells. Most of the best removal spells in the format are in those two colors. And also the high-end bombs can be extremely good and attract you to play that color pair as well. It doesn't have any great built-in synergies necessarily. You know, we're not talking about a Wizards deck or something along those lines, but boy, the power level can be really high in that color pair.
Yeah, it definitely can. And if I learned anything about playing the sealed format is that you want to play your powerful cards.
Definitely.
So if they are in black and white, then you'll be black-white. If they're in white and red, you'll be white-red.
Here's Keldon Overseer now for for Cynic Kim. Not the position he wants to be honest, just running it out there on turn 3, but it actually worked, and it gets in for 3. He's going to have to be relieved at that. It dies to a lot of removal spells.
Yeah, it's actually his turn 5, I believe. So even worse. Even worse than that.
Yeah, he used a Shivan Fire to kill a Mesa Unicorn.
Yeah, I believe he was on a play. So
ouch.
Yeah, Mr. Gapolan drops in there.
He keeps picking up the Overseer like, are you going to kill it? Is it dead? What's going on? Banalish Honor Guard's going to come down. At least threatens to trade off with the Keldon Overseer.
Yeah, which is, plenty.
I think we might see a Fervent Strike here, though, from Cynic.
Yeah, that is not a card I'm thrilled to play in my Seal decks. Partially for this reason.
Yeah, cast down at instant speed here.
Oh,
although
wow.
Adamant Will is the response now from Cynic, so quite a little stack. And at the end of it, they're going to empty out 2 cards each from their hands, and Cynic gets to keep his Overseer.
Hooray.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? Like, it's not so great.
When you're playing Palette, do you have a little voice in your head that goes, hooray, like that, when things like that happen?
Kinda.
Oh my god. That's the path to being a Hall of Famer, Marshall,
I think
apparently.
he does that for his opponents. Like, yeah, you did it. You got your Keldon Overseer still. Enjoy it.
Good job, buddy.
Yep. Slow clap. Krumholtz plays Urgaros on his side of the battlefield, which does threaten to start getting in for a lot of damage. The discard part of it, interesting in that it's random, so it still might actually hit something relevant, where when your opponent has 6 spells in their hand, often that effect is a little bit lost, as meaningfully they weren't going to be able to cast all 6 spells this game anyway, but you might nab their 3-drop and leave them with a 4.
Yeah, and if you want to be optimistic, Kim, like Rich said, at least that Urgos is not drawing cards anytime soon.
That's true. That's true. That is not happening. So they're going to roll a die here and see what happens. Sergeant-at-Arms was a play from Cynic. Well, it took one of his 4 drops, but he would have needed specifically a mountain to be able to cast the Keldon Raider. So
That 4/3 fly is just such a great flavor win, because when they make you discard something really good, you just go, ugh, gross.
That's probably the best one so far.
Thank you.
Yeah.
oh, we're going to grade them now. Well, don't worry. The chat will help us out with the grades.
I was going to say, they take care of that for you,
You know,
Paolo.
I think I'll kick this one off. By the way, that is the worst grade you can get. I know it doesn't look like it. No, it is. It's actually more.
Isn't there
insulting.
F minus?
No, there's not. That doesn't exist.
And like in normally it doesn't exist, or in your grade it doesn't exist? Like in school?
In school, it doesn't exist.
Moving on.
Oh, okay.
There's also no F+. Yeah, in the meantime here, we see Call the Cavalry now from Cynic. Well,
yeah.
this is getting interesting. He also has Skizik in his hand.
For now.
Uh-huh. Let's see if it stays there.
Yeah, he seems to be doing quite a lot for someone who's been stuck on 3 lands for the majority of the game.
No kidding.
I mean, Michael has 8.
Right, and that does indicate that Michael perhaps flooding a little bit here, maybe drawing just a few too many lands, but still has spells in his hand.
Yeah, and as history goes, most of the time, if you're short on lands, you beat the person who's flooded. Because at some point you will draw, 1 or 2 lands, then you can cast 7 spells.
You just need to hang on.
Yeah.
By the way, Goblin Warchief was the discard there.
Okay.
Cynic is really aggressive. That's a Lingering Phantom now for Michael Krumholtz.
Do you like Lingering Phantom, Paolo? 5/4 for 6, chance to come back.
I mean, like is a strong word. I'm going to say I don't like it. I will play it sometimes. There are certain
Tolerate
decks.
it.
Yes. So normally it doesn't make my deck, but if
Right.
I need ways to win the game, it's serviceable.
Good answer, thank you.
By the way, I just saw an extremely powerful card in hand for Cynic Kim. We'll see if he actually gets to 5 mana to cast it, but it's one of the best cards in the set. Siege Gang Commander.
Oh, I think that's just gone next turn if Michael attacks. But
He's got 2 cards in his hand, right?
oh yeah, he does.
Yeah, flip a coin on a Siege Gang. But whatever, he might not even want to have it at this point. But in the meantime, he plays Skizik, no kicker, just looking to try to close out this game as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that is the first time I've ever seen. Well, I guess in Invasion, back in Invasion, I saw it too. But the first time in Dominaria, I've ever seen a non-lethal, non-kick Skizik.
Me too. I have,
Yeah.
and I didn't play an Invasion, so that's my first one ever. Wow, another land for Krumholtz, but he's got 2 good spells in his hand. Looks like he has a Juggernaut and an Eviscerate, and boy, he's going to need them.
Yeah, and Cynic probably was the best defense against Eviscerate, which is just having a ton of bad creatures, as opposed to one great one.
Just Urgros. Let's see what he hits. Oh, boy.
Drum roll.
Oh, he hit the short sword.
The historic short sword.
Yeah, and there's Juggernaut. So if there's a land on top here from Kim,
Yeah,
he actually is in a good shape to win this game. Oh, he hit it! Yes! And there's Siege Gang Commander!
Oh, gobble,
Cynic
gobble, gobble.
Kim with the comeback. And now all of a sudden, Krumholtz needs to deal with way too many things, and he's on 0 cards.
Yeah, well, he gets to draw a card off the Spectre, but even then...
Like, what do you do? Because it's not only... He has to kill Siege Gang, but he still has to not die to the board. He's at 1 life.
Yeah, he has to draw something like a creature that bounces. Like, it has to be 2 things. It has to be a blocker that also deals with a creature.
Yeah,
And
Academy Journey Mage. He has blue mana.
Yeah, I think he drew a Pegasus in there. I think that was the card in his hand. So that would be his only way to win, I think.
Now, interestingly, Cynic can actually take a hit in the air still, but would need to block both creatures on the
Oh,
ground.
that is not legal.
Yeah, that is a wall. No, he's right. It has Defender, right?
I believe it. Oh, I might be wrong. I believe it turns into a wall.
I think it turns into a wall as well. Let's take a look at Deep Freeze.
I'm pretty sure it turns into a wall.
Yeah, it says it has Defender, has base power, toughness 04, loses all abilities, and is a blue wall.
Yeah, now I believe attacking with the Phantom kind of sealed the deal there for
Yeah.
Michael, because the deep freeze on the creature means that he can't attack. But now by attacking with the Phantom, he actively acted as an attacker because it stopped a blocker.
Yep.
That's confusing, but you get the idea, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
Cynic is going to have to flop these, right? Just put the Deep Freeze in front of the Lingering Phantom and the token in front of the Juggernaut.
Yeah, it won't really matter.
No. But it was a good
But-
eye. That was a good call, Paulo, because you don't see that come up too often with the Juggernaut. They don't print actual wall creatures that often. It was a thing in the early days of Magic that they really were into. They just thought walls were going to be like a cool thing, but it turns out people like attacking more than they like blocking, so they've gone away from it.
Yeah, some people.
Those were the days. 0-7, 0-8, 1 red,
0-6 with
red.
Regenerate.
Oh my
Remember
god.
Living Wall?
Yeah.
Do you remember Animate Wall? With like perhaps the best artwork in the history of Magic?
Hey, did you ever build a Rolling Stones deck?
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did. I had this
Yeah.
dream. There was a card. I think it's so old. I think it costs 1 mana. It give an O plus 10 plus 0 to the end of the turn, and then it died.
0
There you go.
Plus 0, plus 10?
No, plus 10, plus 0.
Oh, plus 10, plus 0?
And then he died at the end of the turn.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. And I really wanted to make it work with Rolling Stones. I think it's from like Legends or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it was a Skin Witch, and boy, Cynic Kim hung right in there with his red-white aggro deck, and through a lot of mana issues, he got there.
I tell you what, boys.
What's going on?
The last result of the round has just come in, which
Ooh.
means that this game is going to take probably more time than we have, unless we go super, super, super fast. You down for super, super, super fast, Marshall?
I mean, if you'll do it.
Well, we'll do it between us. You can just go, occasionally.
Okay, I'll do that.
Let's do this. All right, all the way, Rashad, if you would. Let's go to the quad the speed. Crank it all the way, if you'd be so good. I would like a playset speed of Magic the Gathering. So here we go, Calico Skin Witch, Misa Unicorn down there on the other side.
Where
We've
we
got a
get
couple
out of the
of
way, Paul.
No, you'll be fine.
Let
You've
him
got
go. No, I like just watching you do this.
You'll
This
be
is
absolutely fine. We got the Bloodstone Golem, another 2/2 there. It's all 2/2s all the way. Knight of Malice, Knight of Grace there rather. And there's Jousting Lance. It'll give +2/+0 and First Strike. Potentially here we've got the 2 Call the Cavalry Knights as well. 2 cards left in hand for Cynic Kim. He's at 20. Michael Krumholtz is at 14. Meanwhile, Arvad the Curse has come down for Michael Krumholtz. That's the 3/3 Death Touch Lifelink and gives all the other legendaries +2/+2. None of those at the moment. Jousting Lance goes on to the Knight. With me so far, Paolo?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Good stuff. So on we go with Knight of Grace coming in, and there's the Calico Skin, which is going to the bin because Jousting Lance is too big and too powerful. It's just Arvad and Misa Unicorn now. Krumholtz down to 11. Cynic Kim 1-0 up, and we're heading for round number 3. Shortly, we will see the likes of Tom Martell, Frank Scarron, Sam Eilenfeld, and Alan Sun in the feature match area in the company of Maria Bartholdi and Kenji Egashira. Marshall and Paolo will be back later in the day for the start of the Pro Show in round 4. Here's Urgaros once again, 6/6, 4/3 flyer, and when it deals damage, very bad things can happen to you, potentially, if you're Cynic Kim. But here's the Bloodstone Golem coming in, his Sergeant at Arms, just as a 2/3, no spare bonus soldiers popping around at the moment. The army wasn't very good at recruiting, apparently, just at the moment. Looks like there might be a Phoenix sitting there in hand for Cynic Kim. Hard to see, though. There is certainly a seal away, as he sits still at his starting life total of 20, and Michael Krumholtz is down to 8, but does have that 4/3 fly. Cynic Kim is being aggressive. He doesn't care. There's a double block for the first striking Knight of Grace there, and that will trade off, leaving Krumholtz with the 2/2 and the 4/3 flyer still. But probably that's on defense. And now here's our Rona,
Disciple
Rona,
of
there we
Gix.
go.
Yep.
Thank you so much. You see, I knew you'd be useful. So there we go. Cynic comes down, and there it is. That's game, set, match to Cynic Kim. Paolo, I thought you did beautifully there.
Yeah, it is. It is my.
Good job.
Yeah.
I said
Who won?
once.
You said once?
Who won?
Oh, he doesn't know.
I didn't see.
No, he's an
I think
autopilot.
it was the one on the right.
Okay.
Cynic Kim. So we're going to get out of here, and round number 3 is coming right up after these short messages.